Hey friends, welcome back. It's me, Dr. Amber here, reporting live from the floor of my lady lounge, ready to have another quick chat with you about things that are happening in life, love, and business. If you're new here, I am a communication coach to executives and global teams. And on this channel, we have conversations about all things communication and relationships and personality. And also, it's an opportunity for me to just share with you my life and what's going on with me. I'm still figuring out really what I want the heart of this channel to be, but it's me. I'm the heart of it. So I'm taking some time to just have some casual conversations with you all. And out of those conversations, maybe you'll find a thing or two, or you will hear a thing or two that will be helpful to you in your own life and on your own journey. So in today's edition of, I don't even know what to call it, but this little quick chat vlog on life, love, and business. As you know, I've got my notebook. Say hi to Audrey. Did I introduce y'all to Audrey? That's my little baby. I got her from, I'm a child of the 80s. I'm a Gen Xer, and we grew up with Cabbage Patch dolls. And I brought her home with me in October of 23. I'll tell y'all the story one day about how I decided to make that decision and what having her represents. But she's always hanging out with me here in my lady lounge on this couch. And people notice her in the videos. And it's like, someone one day was like, where is that weird doll from? Like, what is that weird doll? I'm like, first of all, she's not weird. Okay. Second, it's just a doll. And third, you ain't never heard of Cabbage Patch Kids? Come on. Anyway, wanted to make sure that I introduced you to her. So this is what you're going to get from these videos. Me just really figuring it out as I go. But anyway, I've got my notes here like I like to have. And so first, let's talk about updates with my life in general. I might have mentioned to you in my previous video, I'm still continuing to do work on myself as a person, specifically with addressing my abandonment wounds and doing some deep work in therapy and reading books and things that are really helpful for me in not even just reparenting myself, but just growing for my growth. Why this work is important to me is because obviously I want to be whole. I want to be healed. I want to, and I recognize that healing is a journey, not a destination. But I'm noticing the ways that I'm showing up differently now in my life as a result of the work that I'm doing this year in particular. And I'm really grateful for that. All of it matters. All of it counts toward, you getting to decide who you want to be and how you want to show up in this world. And maybe if you're like me, you've been through a lot, you've seen a lot, you might have grown up sooner than you wanted to, and it's okay. And you're not responsible for the things that happen to you, but it is up to you to decide how you want to heal from those things and respond to them and how you want them to frame your life or not. So I'm actually enjoying this part of the journey, and I'm recognizing ways that I am growing, and I'm happy about that. So the way that I'm framing things now is when it comes to me making decisions, I stop and think like, okay, what would my healed self do? Not my wounded self, because I've designed an entire life around safety because that was something that I was in search of in my younger years. What will make me feel safest? What is the safest thing to do when you have a lot of tumult and difficult times and challenges and things like that? You crave stability and safety. And so and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm grateful for my life the way that I have designed it to be. But in learning that so much of my life was built from my wound, the way that I'm checking in with myself now is, what would my healed self do? As I'm thinking about this, there's a video that I recorded that I don't know will be posted before this one. It might be. So you have to go and check the channel to see. But I recorded a video a couple of weeks ago talking about, or like providing an example of how I'm showing up differently because I had to run in the airport, which I don't like to do. So stay tuned for that video. Hopefully it is up by the time this one gets up. But so if it is, go back and watch that one. But if it's not, I just wanted to comment on, like, there are very tangible ways that I'm noticing my growth, and I'm just really, really excited about that. And I'm really proud of myself because it does take time. So the way that I'm filtering some of these things is when I have a decision to make, I'll stop and ask myself, what would the healed version of you do? and and that means that I have to know what healing looks like for me, and how I want to operate from that place. So then when I have to make choices and decisions, I can do that from a place of like, yeah, not fear or proving my worth or my value to anybody, but just because it's what I want to do, because I think it's what will be for my highest good and what will be best for me. And we love having tools in your toolkit, okay, to grow and heal and evolve as a human. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm also a mom. I have 2 kids. At this time, they are 14 and 9 years old. And I am fully committed to being not just the mom that they need, but the mom that they want. And part of that work for me is making sure that I parent them from a place of wholeness, and that I don't look to them to fulfill needs that children aren't really meant or intended to fulfill for a parent. Like, I want them to go out in the world feeling free to be who they are, because they know that I'm not depending on them for my happiness. And it takes effort and time to recognize that and to work toward that. It's work that I'm really proud that I'm doing in my life and for myself and for my babies, because I want to give them as much runway as possible to go out into the world and become who they're meant to be. And part of that is showing them what it looks like to be a fully realized woman. Meaning, what does it look like to have a family if you want that, and a business and you want that, and goals and ambitions and things like that? Do you have things that fulfill you and make you, I don't know, happy, just in general, independent of your children, that you literally can have it all? Not necessarily at the same time, but you can have it all. So that's important to me. Anyway, that's what's happening in my life. Summer is upon us, and we're getting ready to wrap up the school year. My oldest is finishing the 8th grade, which is crazy. I'm about to have a rising 9th grader. So a lot of end of the year stuff with her, and award ceremonies and final concerts and stuff at school. And she's had a really great time at her middle school, but she's like, yeah, Mom, I'm ready to be in high school now. So I love that for her. And it's also just interesting too, watching my kids go through these legs of their journey, because it's taking me back to my own childhood, which is why reparenting yourself is really hard work, because if you have kids, are going to be reminded of those experiences, even as your kids get older. So focusing on that. And, all is well. We're really excited about the summer. They love to go swimming and just kind of hang out by the pool. And I'm looking forward to a fairly calm summer this year. And all will be well. All right. Love updates. And when I talk about love, again, it's not just about me and my husband, but just the concept of love in general. And some updates there are not really anything new from my last update about that, but like, he and I are working really diligently on connection, which is a key tenet of my work and the things that I do as a communication coach. Like, I'm consistently trying to help other people be better at fostering more meaningful connections with the people in their lives. But just because I do that work, it doesn't mean that I'm exempt from having to do that in my own life. And so with my partner, that looks like we have a bi-weekly meeting where we'll sit down. We try to keep them under an hour, where we sit down and we have just like categories that we go down. So health stuff, kids stuff, miscellaneous things, like we need to get the carpets clean, for example. So who's going to call to find the vendor to do that? Or travel things, because I have to travel for work. And so when am I going to be gone, and when am I coming back? Like, we have these meetings where we have this like pointed time to just process our life, because it is full, and there's just, always so much going on any given day. And it gives us a chance to just check in with each other as it relates to those things, ask questions, and get the information, the updates and stuff that we need to keep our household organized and thriving. And being clear that there's a shared load, that we are mindful of who is doing what, and there's like an equal distribution of labor as best as we can get it. And that's helpful to us. And that's something that we've been doing now for about a year. And we just had it last night, which is why I'm thinking about it. But I'm sharing this with you because sometimes, especially when you're in a long-term partnership like I've been in, and been married as long as I have, it's really easy to get lost in all of those things and then drift away from each other because you're lost in all of the things and running a household and paying the mortgage and bills and all this other stuff. So us taking the time to talk about those things, again, it just makes sure that we're both dialed into what's happening in our lives and that we're being mindful that we're both being supportive of each other in running the household together, while also being mindful and making sure that we're checking in with one another. So outside of the meeting, we'll go on a date. Prioritizing ways for us to connect and just look each other in the eye and be like, how are you doing for real? And that's really good for us. And it takes, it's almost cliche because you hear that a lot when you talk about marriage, or, just being in long-term relationships, or just being in relationships, period, that, don't stop dating each other. Make sure you make time for one another. There's a reason why people say that, because it's true. It's so easy to get lost in all of the other many things. I'm really proud of us for the way that we are trying to work at that. How that's also helping us is when we have conflict. We had a little spat a couple of weeks ago, and got a little heated. Okay. that's normal, that's to be expected. But the way we rebounded from it the next morning was like, it was so good, because conflict management is one of the key areas that we've really had to work on and be diligent about over the years. And so I'm happy to see us be in a place where we can have an issue, but it doesn't derail our whole life. You know how that is, like the aftermath of a really big fight. And this wasn't even a really big fight, but just like when you have those little spats and those bouts of disagreement, which are normal, conflict is a part of life. I always say that conflict isn't the problem, it's how you handle it is what makes the difference. And so I'm proud of us for us to be able to see very tangibly how we're growing through some of those challenges. And it's been really, really good. So this is a calm season for us, which I'm very grateful for, because it hasn't always been that way. Okay. We've had a lot of ups and downs and ebbs and flows and pockets of connection and disconnection in our marriage. And so I'm also practicing, I was telling this to a friend the other day, I'm practicing calling out the moments when I do feel calm and that things do feel easeful, because it helps me remember that for when we are in cycles of disrepair, and remembering that it's all cyclical. Like the marriage therapist, Esther Perel, says that relationships are in this just like constant cycle of harmony, disharmony, and repair. I said disrepair a second ago, but I meant disharmony. So it's like harmony, disharmony, and repair. Harmony, disharmony, and repair. So when you're in a moment of harmony, like I'm trying to be more vocal about naming that, because I was also really vocal about naming the cycles of disharmony. So there's that. Therapy has also been really helpful for that too, by the way. By the way, we have a marriage therapist and we both see her independently. And I also have my own separate therapist that I was seeing before we started seeing this marriage therapist. But listen, we love all the tools and resources, okay? Because sometimes I might need to talk about things that are just related to me, Amber, the individual, that are completely separate and independent of what's happening in my partnership. And so I'm very grateful that we are able to leverage these tools and get the support that we need, because I think that couples, especially those in long-term partnerships, like you need a certain kind of care, because it's like something vintage. And I probably have said this before on this channel, that long-term relationships are, you have like a vintage purse, you're going to be delicate with it. And so sometimes you have to be delicate with your partner and the partnership altogether. So that's what's going on in love. What's your love life like? How are things going for you? Are there questions that I can answer for you? Something that I'm starting to talk more about is my work with couples. I've always done this kind of quietly, like an off menu type thing, where I've been able to support couples on their journeys. And I do think that that is something that I will be talking more about on this channel, but it's helpful for me to do it in this way first. Because we need it. Outside of church and therapy, couples, especially Black couples, don't really have a lot of places to go to talk about their shit and like work through their problems. And from a communication standpoint and from a relationship standpoint, my 20 years of experience in doing that lends itself to being able to support couples from that angle, and also having been in partnership as long as I have. Now, that does not make me a marriage expert. I'm only an expert on my marriage, but the things that I've learned coupled with my background, my skills, and my expertise in communication can be helpful to couples like seeking support. And also let me know if you want to learn more about that and how I can support you if you're interested in getting coaching in that way. So lastly, let's talk about business. As you know, I'm a keynote speaker and an executive coach. And so the first quarter of the year was kind of quiet and still, but I needed that stillness. And now it's like springtime, things come alive. Everybody's out of the holiday haze. You start to see more emails come through. I've gotten a couple of leads here of late for speaking engagements. I had a speaking engagement today, and it was virtual. We love a virtual. I love to speak in person. There's nothing like it. There's no replacement for it or anything. However, virtually can do exactly what I needed to do sometimes, because I can just sit here at my desk and reach people all over the world and impact them by what I have to say. And I love that. So I'm happy with how things are kind of coming along in this moment in time. I feel like the pace of my business life is manageable at this moment in time. I have a lot of projects that I'm working on, and they take, one in particular is my book proposal, and it just takes a lot of my creative power to focus on writing. But in addition to that, which is why I love doing work that I love to do, is because I can also feel really invigorated by the work that I do. And there's just nothing like getting that jolt to your system after you have a speaking engagement or you have a coaching session where one of your clients just has a revelation, and it opens their minds to things that had been hidden to them or blind to them for many years. So what I'm really looking forward to that's coming up is I will be speaking at a marriage retreat in a few weeks. I'm recording this in early May. So in about a month, a little less, I will be traveling to Palm Springs, California to lead a session on communication skills and engagement and connection with a group of couples that just are in search of community. It's going to be really low key, like no huge production, and it's going to be very intimate. And I'm so excited. I'm kind of looking at this as like my debut into this space, like coming out of the shadows and doing it quietly and doing it more publicly in this way. So I'm now, hold me to this. I'm going to take this camera, my Osmo, with me, and maybe get a little bit of footage or just talk to some people about like what some of their challenges are. So maybe, I might come back with a little tidbit or two that might be helpful here for the channel. So stay tuned for that, but really excited about that coming up. I've got, again, some other client work that I am working on, and I'm just trying to give myself grace in every area of my life, and business is one of them. I've worked really hard for really long to get where I'm at in my business life. And so kind of like I was saying before about coming from a place of my healed self, the healed version of myself, she's not frazzled about what's happening and what's not happening. Like, she's centered, she's grounded, she's clear about her goals and her dreams and her vision, and she's prayerful about those things, and she can move with a bit of ease in her life because she knows, like, girl, it's okay. It's okay. Take your time and honor your gifts and do what you can and just be where your feet are. And that mindset has been really helpful for me. So I'm really working on just like not stressing about things that I can't control. Cause there's that saying, what is the saying? I think it's basically you can't worry and pray at the same time. You have to do one or the other. So I'm choosing to pray versus worry, and things are coming along. So overall, in this moment in time, today, as I'm recording this video, I feel good. I feel solid. Yesterday, not so much. I was a little frazzled and overwhelmed. I was feeling overstimulated and overextended. And so I had to just shut everything down. I closed my computer. I took a break. I went and got a massage, and I had such a bad headache after the massage. That was how I knew I had a bunch of just like stale energy pent up that needed to get out. So again, my healed self knows how to take care of herself. She's able to recognize things as they're happening versus, way past the point of like I'm just trying to recognize burnout before I'm past the stage of burnout, before my tank is fully empty. And I was telling my friend, because she was like, oh, how's your week going? And I said to her, I just feel my battery draining. I feel it. And like your gas tank, when you get to that E, you get to the little red part, like it starts to be like, girl, you better get some gas. You better get some gas. I'm so happy to be able to be more mindful of that now, so that I know how to replenish myself back to capacity. And it's not a perfect science, but I'm working at it. And so I'm glad that I took the time that I needed yesterday to just care for myself and tend to myself. So that way, even today, I have enough in my cup to sit here and do this video. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you'd like these little chats that we're having here. Again, if there's any questions that I can answer for you about communication in life, love, and business, please leave them below, and I will do my best to respond to whoever is courageous enough to ask. And I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.